As the NBA Finals have progressed and both of our conference champions have battled it out on the biggest stage, we've had no shortage of monster moments and iconic performances to look back on and recontextualize the series as a whole. On the Thunder side, SGA has been putting together possibly the greatest NBA Finals debut we've ever seen, with his 72 points through the first two games not only helping to set the record for most points through the first two games of a Finals debut, but prove exactly why he won this year's MVP. But his superstar talent has been matched by the collective efforts of the Indiana Pacers, whose offensive approach helped them steal Game 1 and add yet another entry to the ever-expanding list of clutch moments that Haliburton has put together this postseason. However, Indiana's decentralized offensive approach has led to one of the stranger finals we've ever seen. And with Haliburton's fluctuating output and aggressiveness, it's given fans the opportunity to appreciate the supporting cast around him more than we see with other stars. And depending on who you ask, the guy who's received the most praise has been Andrew Nembhard, whose clutch scoring run and defense this postseason has really woken up a lot of fans who weren't aware of just how impactful the third-year guard has truly been. And a closer look at Nembhard's journey as a prospect and through the pros as a severely underrated piece can tell us a lot about the NBA's flawed draft politics, the importance of proper team fit, and what can happen when a player truly buys into their role for the betterment of the team. So, let's talk about Andrew Nembhard, his journey through the league, and the makings of the perfect co-star. In order to understand how a guy like Nembhard has become so underrated, we have to go back and look at his career in college and his perception as a draft prospect. Because one look at his draft scout, and it becomes abundantly clear that Nembhard was simply a victim of draft politics from the beginning. After spending his first 2 years at Florida, Nembhard transferred to Gonzaga for his junior and senior seasons, where he absolutely balled out at the point guard spot. Over his final year at Gonzaga, Nembhard averaged 11.8 points and 1.6 assists on 45.2% from the field and 38.8% from three, while taking 4.2 a game. Despite him not leading the team in scoring, Nembhard was able to act as the head of an explosive Gonzaga offense that finished with both the second highest true shooting percentage and offensive rating in all of college basketball, with a 60.8% and 118.1 respectively, all while also having the 9th highest pace in all of college ball at 73.8 possessions per game. Much, if not all of this efficiency and offensive firepower was due to Nembhard's steadying, veteran-like presence at the point guard spot, and especially in the pick and roll, where he was nothing short of surgical in terms of his passing and scoring reads. And while his decision-making in the pick and roll had always been elite, the leap that Nembhard took as a perimeter scorer and shot creator this season helped supercharge an already dangerous two-man game, with him scoring roughly 1.06 points per dribble jump shot this season, placing him in the 90th percentile amongst all college basketball players. Nembhard's improvements both as a scorer and overall jump shooter were noted in his draft scouting profile, and entering the draft, he was described as, quote, a tall, battle-tested guard with an excellent feel for the game. And there was a general feeling that he was the most well-known commodity heading into the draft. However, as we've talked about time and time again, the draft politics of the NBA, particularly as it pertains to conversations of age and perceived room for growth in the league, positioned Nembhard as a polished pick, but ultimately one whose shaky past as a jump shooter and age placed a big asterisk next to his name. And as the first round of the draft came and went, despite him dropping a 26-point, 11-assist performance in the combine scrimmage just a month earlier, Nembhard slid out of the first round into the second, where he was selected 31st overall by the Indiana Pacers. And the phrase match made in heaven doesn't even begin to describe the situation that he happened to be walking into as a rookie. For context, the 2022-23 season would mark the first full year of Tyrese Haliburton being in Indiana after he joined the team during the 2022 trade deadline. And Haliburton's arrival had marked the beginning of the Pacers' new, fast-paced, spacing and pass-heavy offensive approach. So by adding arguably the best pick-and-roll creator and floor general available in the draft, Indiana was making a move that meshed beautifully with their intended identity and positioned Nembhard to be one of the best sleeper picks to come out of the draft. And this wasn't a fact that Pacers coach Rick Carlisle was shy about either, saying about Nembhard, quote, he'll go down as a top 12 or 15 pick in this draft when it's all said and done, because that's where he should have been taken. However, even though they'd expected Nembhard to benefit their system, by their own admission, they weren't even ready for just how impactful he'd be in his rookie season. Over the course of the 2022-23 season, as Indiana jumped to the top of the league in passes made, average speed, and pace of play, Nembhard was able to bring that same steadying presence he'd had at Gonzaga to the emerging Pacers in short bursts. He'd averaged 9.5 points and 4.5 assists for the season, shooting 44.1% from the field and a better than expected 35% from three while taking 3.5 threes a game. Nembhard would be one of a few guard options on Indiana's roster that served as a perfect number 2 to Tyrese Haliburton and helped set the tone and rein in Indiana's fast-paced game. With his 22.3% assist percentage not only placing him in the 72nd percentile of all combo guards, but his 1.23 assist to usage ratio placed him in the 80th percentile of all guards, which represented a clear ability to be highly impactful on the floor with limited touches. In fact, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Nembhard's addition to the Pacers' new style helped launch them to the top of the league, as the 5-man lineup of Haliburton, Nesmith, Nembhard, Turner, and Buddy Hield were 3rd in the league this year in assist-to-turnover ratio amongst lineups that played at least 400 minutes, with only the Denver Nuggets and Boston Celtics starting fives being more efficient in their passing. Nembhard's stellar rookie season featured a few big-time performances, with his best game coming in a December 6th matchup against the Warriors, where his 31-point, 13 assists, 8 rebound near triple-doubles saw him put on a clinic in the pick and roll with a multitude of reads. Like on this play, where after he uses a timely Jalen Smith screen and Benedict Mathurin cut to take Draymond out of the action, he escape dribbles from Klay Thompson as he tries to ice the screen, allowing Smith to reset it flatter and giving Nembhard the chance to snake it and get downhill for an easy rim finish. Or this play later in the game, where he's once again able to snake the flat screen, this time opting for a classic mid-range pull-up. And this explosion wasn't a fluke either, as after Haliburton injured his ankle in practice late in the season, Nembhard received an opportunity to play as the primary point guard, where he showed that he could be just as, if not more effective with more touches, averaging 15.1 points and 7.1 assists on 50% from the field and 42.2% from three over the final month of the season. This rookie campaign was nothing short of a success, but that's not to say that both he and Indiana didn't have lots of room for improvement, and Nembhard's three-point efficiency and Indiana's failure to make the playoffs all represented clear opportunities for growth the following year. But nobody could have forecasted just how quickly this growth would happen, as Indy would take an unimaginable leap in just one season, with Nembhard's development helping to take this Pacers team from an 11th-seeded finish to a near NBA Finals appearance. Over the course of the 2023-24 season, while his baseline stats would stay more or less the same, with his averages of 9.2 points and 4.1 assists on 49.8% from the field and 35.7% from three, practically mirroring his rookie season, Nembhard's growth as a defender and timely scoring option would help launch Indiana into contention. Through the regular season, opponents would score 4.4 less points per 100 possessions when Nembhard was on the floor, placing him in the 84th percentile amongst all players in the league. An opponent's effective field goal percentage would be 2.1 percentage points worse, which similarly placed him in the 84th percentile of the league. On top of this, as an individual defender, Nembhard established himself as a defensive stopper, with opponents shooting 0.3 percentage points worse when guarded by him, which is made all the more impressive when you consider that he often found himself matched up with all-star and all-NBA caliber high-usage guards. And circling back to his offensive game, Nembhard's development, both as a catch-and-shoot player and shot creator, didn't jump off the stat sheet in the points category, but helped to position him as a dream second option who could capitalize off the advantages created by Haliburton and the rest of his versatile teammates. Nembhard would not only end the regular season in the 85th percentile of all mid-range scorers, knocking down 49% of his 224 attempts that year, but he knocked down 39.1% of his catch-and-shoot threes. And if that wasn't enough, he'd also connect on 69% of his shots at the rim, which not only placed him in the 86th percentile of all guards, but certified him as one of the league's premier wingmen who could change a game on both ends of the floor. And all of Nembhard's growth as a defender and scorer came to light in Indiana's Eastern Conference Finals run, where he'd make headlines for his staunch defense on Jalen Brunson in this game-winning and really series-saving three-pointer against the Knicks, which was poetically generated by none other than a Haliburton double team, which forced a favorable mismatch for the perceived role player. And quiet as kept, despite the Pacers being swept by the Celtics in the following round, Nembhard played out of his mind as the Celtics' game plan and an eventual injury limited Hallie's output and once again unlocked Nembhard's potential as an on-ball, high-usage scoring option, where he'd average 21 points and 7.8 assists on 54.1% shooting from the field and a scorching 47.6% from three while taking 5.3 a game. Ultimately though, following the Pacers' loss, this elite four-game run for Nembhard was swept under the rug. And Indy's conference finals appearance was mostly written off through the 2024-25 season, especially as Nembhard found himself struggling mightily from behind the arc, only knocking down a career-low 29.1% of his three-point attempts. But as we've all seen, Nembhard and the entire Pacer roster have proved themselves to be the definition of postseason risers, with Nembhard's boosted averages of 12.8 points and 1.6 steals on 47.3% from the field and 48.3% from three, acting as the embodiment for the identity of this Pacers team and really his career as a whole to this point. Even with him only being in his third year in the league, Nembhard's brief journey as a prospect and his rapid growth into a foundational piece on a championship-level team can serve as a testament to the importance of proper fit when drafting and the foolish way that we tend to view versatility in the modern league. Despite him having a reputation as a, quote, battle-tested guard who helmed the most explosive offense in all of college basketball, with a skill set that very clearly translated to the professional game, concerns about age and room for growth allowed for one of the best available options to fall directly into the hands of a franchise who understood the caliber of player they were scouting. And through his time in Indiana, that same maturity and feel for the game that was so highly praised has quickly helped Nembhard evolve into the ideal co-starring guard in the modern era, with the ability to guard on the perimeter, space the floor, and create his own shot off the bounce being skills that any GM would kill for from a rotational guard. So as the finals continue and we're repeatedly beat over the head with conversations of whether or not Tyrese Haliburton is a superstar, keep an eye on Andrew Nembhard, because what we're witnessing is the birth of a star in his role. But with all that being said, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I can catch you in the next one.